Let me tell you something that will piss you off. You are not rational. You are not logical. You are not thinking. You are just rationalizing whatever you already did. You think you know yourself. You don't. Your brain has been lying to you since childhood, covering your failures with beautiful explanations. Backward rationalization makes you love your own cage. If you don't watch this whole video, you will keep defending the cage and calling it destiny, God's plan, or the best arrangement. If you don't watch this until the end, you will keep doing the same thing, suffering, and then convincing yourself the suffering was good for you. Humans don't seek truth. We invent excuses. We smoke and then say it relaxes us. We gamble and then say we were feeling lucky. We stay poor and then say money is dirty. We get abused and then say, but they love me. Backward rationalization, 逆向合理化, is the most important psychological trait I think everyone should know. It's presented in every aspect of life and affects our behaviors profoundly. From courtship to persuasion, it's an essential piece of information in understanding human behaviors. Explained in simple terms, people are wired to want to keep their thoughts consistent with their actions. Once a person behaved in a certain way, they adjust their thoughts in order to be consistent with their behaviors. Once a person has committed themselves with an action, they felt a strong need to justify that action. Why do we have this strong urge to stay committed to ourselves and have consistency in our thoughts and behaviors? Because accepting a change means that we admit that what we've done before was wrong. And people rather keep doing stupid things and call it correct rather than facing the truth and correcting their mistakes. This is also called cognitive dissonance, 认知失调, which says that if people's attitudes and behaviors are inconsistent, they will feel strong discomfort feelings, thus forcing themselves to change either their attitudes or behaviors so that the two will return to the same state. This is true all the way to the defining of the person. People observe their own behaviors and redefine who they are. Thus the saying, if you don't immediately change to live the way you want, then sooner or later you will think in the way you live. 你不赶紧按照你想的方式去活，那迟早会按照你活的方式去想。Like those religious or political people, they rationalize their status quo and reject all contradicting evidence, gradually close off to the outside world, reject all possibilities of making a change, grow into a narrow mindset. Examples of backward rationalization. Example 1. Many prison guards abuse the prisoners. If they tell themselves, those people whom I abuse are good people, then their conscience will hurt. So instead, they tell themselves, those people whom I mistreat are bad people, they all deserve to die. Then the behavior of the abuse changed their perception of the prisoners and further made them feel more disgusted by the criminals, even if it was not the case in the beginning. Example 2. Many people say that they do not regret whatever thing they have experienced. It is what made them the way they are today. They firmly believe that what happened is the best plan. Everything turned out the best way possible. What didn't kill them made them stronger. Again, this is typical backward rationalization because the incident has already happened. You can't change it. So you choose to change your attitude, comfort yourself by telling yourself, this thing has gave me precious experience. It has taught me something, so I'm a better man now and I'm more likely to succeed in the future. Well, that's not true. You cannot prove that you are in a better situation now than if the incident had not happened. I always say, there's nothing to seek from misery. Don't seek misery. Successful entrepreneurs always brag about how much pain and effort they paid to finally succeed. No, if you've done things right, you shouldn't be suffering. You could have chosen the easier path and achieved the same goal. A motorcyclist doesn't need to go through an accident to learn the potential danger of it. He could have easily studied the stats, analyzed the data, and reached the same conclusion instead of learning it the hard way. It's ridiculous how people complain and curse while bad things happen to them, but a while later tell others that they're grateful for it. No. Misery is suffering. Stop bragging about it. You say, everything is for the best? Bullshit. People who died from cancer or car accidents. What about those civilians that were tortured inhumanly and killed during the war? Are you telling me that was the best arrangement? That it was God's plan for them? That's just classic backward rationalization, trying to force an explanation on anything. Example 3. A person is obviously poor, but keeps telling people that he's not interested in making money, or preaching everywhere to everyone that capitalism is dirty. Those rich people have filthy black hearts. In fact, it's your brain subconsciously looking for excuses to justify the fact that you are incapable of making money. You brainwash yourself and you keep telling yourself, I am not incompetent, I just do not care. This is a self-protection mechanism of the human brain, because it's too painful to admit that you are actually stupid and inherently inadequate, so you choose to deny the evidence and reality, lie to yourself to make you feel better about yourself. Just watch how those people would change their ugly faces and attitudes once they become rich, or how vicious they can be once it comes to lucrative things and fight for their self-interest. You had money, you gave it up, then you are qualified to talk. But these people are outliers, not the majority. Example 4. In a psychology experiment, participants were asked to choose between two gifts in two boxes which they don't know what they are. After the participants choose one and take it home, they firmly believe that the gift in the other box is definitely worse, and the gift they choose is surely the better one, without even knowing what's in the other box. This is the same logic as the "what doesn't kill me makes me stronger" mentality. Whatever happens is the best outcome, whereas in reality, you are far from credible to make such a statement because you'll never know what would happen in the other scenario. Example 5. From a psychological point of view, when humans make a choice or decision about a person or a thing, he will do anything possible to support his decision. People do this because they are already invested in the decision. If they change, then it means that he made a dumb judgment and decision before, and people prefer to never admit defeat. There used to be a study testing the mentality of gamblers on horse racing. The researchers just surveyed those gamblers before and after they placed the bet, asking how confident they were in their choice. The study found that, once a gambler placed his bet, his confidence increased about the decision he made. Therefore, when you are about to make an important purchase or crucial decision, do not give too much credit to the advice of someone who has just made his purchase or decision. This person will try to convince you that he is correct, intentionally exaggerate the pros, and understate the cons. You should value more the advice from people who are still collecting information and have not yet made up their mind. Example 6. Luo Zhenyu was once asked why some hardcore fans would use stupid reasoning to defend their idols' mistakes or inadequacy. Again, explain using cognitive dissonance. The greater the time, money, and energy a person spent on her choice, the harder it is to change the result, and the greater the sense of dissonance one will experience. In this case, there's too much sunken cost involved. The fan has dedicated too much on her idol, and therefore, she deliberately exaggerates the favorable factors of choice and downplays the harm in order to reduce the dissonance. Why do people not leave their abusive partners? Because of the sunken cost of time and energy previously they have invested into the relationship already. Example 7. Religion works the same way. Why are people so stubbornly believe that there's a God above our head? Because if they admit their mistake, then they consequently admit they were idiots, so they choose to go blind to evidence and reasoning. People have such a powerful desire for harmony. When they are forced to face negative evidence, they will automatically respond with criticism and distortion so that their original view can be maintained or even strengthened. Doing so will maintain our self-esteem at a high level. This inadvertent self-deception makes us deny the wrong or stupid decisions we made, detrimentally limit our growth, hinder our road to success, blind ourselves from the truth. Dissonance theory also overturns the theory that human beings process information rationally. No, we think by selecting evidence that caters to our views. If the new information agrees with ours, we will consider it reasonable and beneficial. I have always said it, if the new information does not agree with ours, we will consider it to be biased, stupid, uninformed. What a stupid point of view. Some people named it echo room effect. It means that people often read messages on the internet that are similar to their own views, and we tend to notice evidence that reinforces our pre-existing thinkings. Just like in a closed space, the voices of similar opinions are constantly repeated. People deem these one-sided news as the truth and fail to acknowledge the other party's opinion. Nowadays, some of the mobile softwares use algorithms to recommend to you the content that fits your preferences. This is also an echo room effect. People easily block out sounds that are contrary to their own beliefs, become isolated from true rationality. When people make judgments, there are two mechanisms. One is the scientist mechanism, and that is to find evidence first and then draw conclusions. The other is the lawyer mechanism, where they have a conclusion first and then look for evidence. For me, wherever I face an opposite point of view, no matter how ridiculous I find some opinion is, I always listen like a blank slate. Then I use critical thinking to judge it. I find out where they got wrong and why they think so. Until I can find the reason why they think the way they think and where the exact problems are and what's the root cause, then I reach my conclusion and choose the one that makes sense. Finally, I change my mind and admit my mistake if I'm wrong, or despise them secretly if they are wrong. For example, the root cause of religion is humans are scared of the idea of meaninglessness after death, also humans' greediness. People want a better life for themselves after death, so they pray. They want their self-interest, so they pray and firmly believe it'll work. In the end, I recommend the book by Nick Chater. In this book, Nick takes this whole thing a step further. He believes that the human mind doesn't have any depth at all. What we consider as thinking is actually just an illusion created by the brain, making up stories on the spot. Our brain is particularly good at creating stories to rationalize our thoughts, so that the thoughts can meet the needs of the moment and can be consistent with our past behaviors, making us mistakenly think that we are thinking, but actually, this so-called thinking is just an illusion. There's no such thing as thinking. They are all just stories we have fabricated for ourselves. You'll have to go read the experiments done in this book to understand what I'm talking about. I promise it'll blow your mind. To ask what a person's real thoughts are, there are an infinite variety of ways to ask and an infinite variety of answers. But this is not because our motivations, desires, and preferences are unfathomable. It is because these motives, desires, and preferences do not exist at all, but it is just a story made by the brain to rationalize the behaviors. There is a quiz in the book that goes like this: please imagine a tiger in your head and describe all the features as detailed as possible. Now I ask you how the tiger's black strips grow. Is it vertical or horizontal? Is the direction of the stripes the same for the body and the feet? What about the tail part? What color is the tiger's eyes? Is his mouth open or closed? The answer to these questions is not the point. If you think about the situation that just happened, did you start thinking about it when I asked this question? I asked about the characteristics of a certain part, and then you construct the appearance of the part, and then answer these questions on the spot. Usually we think that we have thought about it and are ready. But until we were asked the question, we only had a vague impression of the question. For example, we humans actually feel a certain emotion first, thinking about what we should be thinking accordingly. The physiological state of a person, such as rapid breathing and rapid heartbeat, does not mean or convey anything itself. It is just your pure physical state. Our brain will combine the situation and think about what's a good reason for this emotion. For example, when you see a bear, you tremble and breathe faster. Your brain will say, "Oh, I'm scared because there's a bear." If you ride a roller coaster with a girl, your heartbeat increases. You might mistakenly think it's because you're attracted to the girl. The book also gives a lot of strong evidence and experiments. Here I will not repeat them one by one. Those who are interested can read this book by themselves. But the conclusion is, we always talk about how the human mind is as deep as the sea, and then use various theories to analyze and interpret. For example, you made this choice today because of what kind of experience you had in your childhood. But in fact, these are all illusions. They are all stories we have fabricated for ourselves. All of you are the lead character playing in your own little movie in your head. All your faults are justified because you saw all the scenes that lead up to it. Us humans are not rational creatures. We are rationalizing creatures. Mutual influence between mind and body. Not only does our consciousness affect our body also affects our consciousness. There's a special term for this effect of the body on the mind: embodied cognition. Modern cognitive science has demonstrated this through experiments. If you're in a good mood, you'd smile. But if someone physically arranges your face into a smile, your mood will improve as well. In other words, smiling and feeling happy influence each other in both directions. Behavior changes attitude. In relationships, guys always ask the girl, "Are we now dating? Do you like me or not?" Because men usually want a straightforward answer, which often backfires because women dislike stating their feelings explicitly. During the early stages of dating, a lot of men want women to show their stance clearly. But this approach often has the opposite effect. Smart men skip that step and instead guide the woman's actions directly. For instance, "While I get the movie tickets, can you grab the popcorn?" Or, "How about you cover dinner this time?" Or, "Hey, can you look after my pet for a bit?" That way, as the woman goes about doing these little things, she'll start wondering, "Why am I listening to him? Do I actually like him? Oh no, I think I want to be his girlfriend." So if you want to change someone, start with their actions. Don't try to change their attitude first in order to change their behavior. Forced to praise a boring movie. Imagine forcing someone to give an exciting review of a very dull movie. Because they have to sell the movie as interesting, they will actually start to believe it's more interesting than they initially thought. Or consider requiring participants to write an essay defending a viewpoint they originally disagreed with. By the time they finish writing, many of them begin to support that new viewpoint they originally disagreed with. Once people make a choice, they adjust their attitudes to rationalize their actions. It's a form of self-rationalizing, otherwise, they'd be stuck in contradictory inconsistency between their opinion and behavior. We don't use facts to form our opinions, we use our opinions to form facts.